All right, so a few people have asked me how to get class lists into their Smart Response programs. So I'll show you a way to do that. One way to do it is to just type all the names in manually and enter in the numbers, but that's a little bit tedious. So what we're actually going to do is export the names from MiStar into Excel, and then from Excel into Smart Response, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that terrible. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to just go into MiStar. You're going to click on Teacher Connection. Go up to Menu and pick, it doesn't really matter, Analysis probably works, and choose Reports. Once you get to this Reports screen, you're going to click the little plus mark here on Schedule, or click on Schedule, and Class Roster is the one that we want. So you're going to click Class Roster, and it's got this Export Report up there. That's what we want. But before we do it, we got to tell it what reports we want to export. So really, we don't need any of this. We don't need phone number. We don't need counselor name. We don't need phone numbers. We don't need that email that just popped up on my screen. We don't need, what we do need rather is your teacher name. So you're basically going to, when you click that, it brings up available teachers. It'll just list you, in this case me. So select yourself, and then you're going to move yourself over to selected. So just click this little arrow here. Boop. And then just click done. And there it says. Okay. And then depending on what you want to do, you can tell it what term. I happen to just want my class lists from this term. I want all of my classes, I want all my periods, blah, 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 blah. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so you're going to click Export Report, and then depending on which browser you're using, whether you're using Chrome or Explorer or, what's the other one, Firefox, in some fashion it'll download your report. And here's mine right here. It says classroster.xls. All right, so that is my list. So I'm going to open that up. All right, so unfortunately what it does though is it gives you this list where it has the student's last name, first name, and then student ID, but it's all stored as one cell. All right, and that's not what we want. What we want the list to look like is we want the list to look like this, okay, and it needs to be in this order. So I guess the first thing I would say is open up a new Excel sheet, and you want your Excel sheet to have these three headings. So here's your new sheet. You want those three headings: ID number, first name, last name. Spelling doesn't matter. It's basically just for your reference. Okay. The next thing we want to do is go back to your class roster list that was generated for you, and highlight that column that's got all that information. And you're just going to do copy, go to your new one. Oops. We don't need this anymore, do we? Go to your new one and paste it. All right. Actually, you know what? Strike that. Paste it, but don't do it right underneath where you want it. We're going to end up moving some of this stuff around. Okay? Because as you can see, this is all one cell, and we need Akafulu to go under last name, we need Blair to go under first name, and we need this ID number to go over there. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight all of this information. Okay, make sure you just highlight the one row, and it'll overflow because it's too big for that row, and that's fine. You're going to go to Tools. Nope, you're not. You're going to go to Data, and then you're going to click Text to Columns. All right. Now what this does is it takes one column and sorts it out into a number of columns. All right. What we need to do is tell it how to know when to start a new column. And so there are two things that are going to let it know. So first of all, you can see there's a comma after the last name. So we're going to check comma, and it'll show you a little preview. See how it split it there? All right. The other thing that separates it is these parentheses. Okay. So I'm going to click Other, and I'm going to do a start parenthesis like that. Okay. So now it's taking that information and splitting it into three columns like this. So click Next, click Finish. There you go. So now we're almost there, but the problem is this last column. See how it's got that closing parenthesis at the end? So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to Data again. I'm going to go Text to Columns. I'm going to click Next. And I'm just going to change this parenthesis to the other kind, closing parenthesis. And it's going to, well, you'll see. Boom. Finish. And all it did was it pretended it was making a new column. All right. So now I've got all of my information in there. So now I just want to take the stuff and put it in the right column. So here's my ID numbers. I'm going to cut and paste. I'm going to take my first names, I'm going to cut and paste, and then I'm going to take my last names and I'm going to cut and paste. And then I'm going to save it, save as, test class. And then save it somewhere where you can get a hold of it pretty easily, or where you'll remember it. I actually have, whatever, save it somewhere that's going to be smart. I have a data file or a data folder set up, but since this is just for display, I'm going to save it to the desktop, test class, save. Cool. So then the next thing you want to do, so that's actually the hardest part. The rest of this is pretty easy. If you're anal and care about formatting, you can highlight everything and change it all to the same font. Whatever. Cool. Okay, so anyway, save it. There you go. Bam. So then the next thing you want to do is you're going to go Start, All Programs, Smart Technologies, Smart Tools, and Response Teacher Tools is what we want. So you're going to open that up. Okay. Now, the first time you launch this, it's going to ask you some information. It's going to ask you your name, if you want to be a Mr. or a Doctor or a Mrs. or whatever, and where you teach and what your Social Security number is and all that kind of garbage. And that'll sort of give you this. That's how it knows who I am. All right. So that'll take you 2 minutes, maybe. All right. So then you're going to have a screen that looks like this. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to click Add a Class, type in the information. So I'm going to go Test Class, just so that you can kind of see how I did this. Make up a period. Make up a location, pick a passing grade. My students must all achieve 100%, or I'm not happy. So we'll go 80. Click Add. Okay, now to add students, there are a couple options. I would suggest clicking Add Students. And one way is to manually add them here. But that is not what we want to do. So what did I do? Oh, import students. Oh yeah, right. So if you click Add Students, that's where you can type the names in manually. Or you can do Import Students, which is what we want. Okay, so click Import Students. Tell it the class you want to import it to. In this case, I want to import it to Test Class. Click Next. You're going to import it from Excel, so highlight Excel, click Next. Find the file that you found, or that you created. Here's my test class. You can open it. And there it is. Import successfully completed. So now I can go to my test class, I can look at my students, and there they are. Cool. Hope that is helpful.